Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, we're episode 329 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's taking a very long walk with me tonight?
Oh, it was definitely a long walk. Isaiah here. I've been on the show quite a few times. Probably at least a little bit over 1% of the time.
This is Robert, and damn, I'm fucked up from that pipe weed that Gandalf gave me.
I'm Casey. I'm also here again. I'm not talking about a space horror game this time.
Oh, that was a good game, though. It was a while since we did Prey.
Yeah, and I was here for Soma, so I'm not talking about like existential
Wow.
horror.
Yeah, I did bring you for two of those.
That's definitely a switch for you.
Yeah, it's a little more lighthearted.
Well, sort of, for the most part. I mean, it is a very depressing world if it wasn't full of Legos. So we are here to talk about Lego, The Lord of the Rings, developed by Traveler's Tales, and came out in 2012 for everything, pretty much, at the time.
Damn, my age is showing now. Holy crap.
It came out for, hell, at the time, PlayStation Vita, Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo DS, PlayStation 3, 360, Windows, Wii, and then it's on everything at the time.
That's where it confused me on this, because I thought I played this on the Vita originally, but I never thought I played it on the PS3 till I picked up a copy, and I was like, damn, I already have save data for this.
I mean, that happens.
Yeah.
Games come and go for most people. Not for me, but for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this definitely took me back. Like, I owned it on 360 long ago, so it was still in my Xbox downloads. And man, it was just, it was definitely a walk down memory lane. That's for damn sure. Plus, it helps I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
That does help in this. I played it once back in the day on 360. I got through it. I think I was going towards 100%. I never finished it because I was an achievement whore, so I would do stuff for achievements. So I'm sure I was playing this game more.
Oh, yeah.
I remember your achievement whore days.
Yeah, they went away.
Yeah, I did go achievement whore on this one. Like, I 100% of the game and all the achievements.
Damn, sometimes it's just fun to do that. I don't have time. I have to get on to the next game because I beat usually 2 games a week on average right now, so I don't have time for the podcast.
But I mean, it's Lord of the Rings. I would have to harm myself if I didn't put 100% effort into it because, again, huge Lord of the Rings fan, huge Lego game fan, and this game definitely delivers on both aspects.
It really does. Like, I have played at one time I had played most of the Lego games, and this one is this the first open world type-ish one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because they kind of had to with how much content was in there. Like, the first Lego game was Lego Star Wars, and yeah, you had the cantina, which also had like an outside area, but it wasn't an open world where you're actually turning in quests and finding stuff.
That's Lego Star Wars 2. The first one had, the guy from Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan goes to the bar for one damn scene.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the Lego Star Wars 1, you still had the cantina, though.
I know, but I thought it was
Lego Star Wars 2. No, Lego Star Wars 2 had, was the prequels.
No, Lego Star Wars 1 is the prequels.
No.
I'm 99% positive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because the second one was like when they brought back
the original trilogy.
The original trilogy.
Oh yeah, you might be right. But then they combined the two into one game, and that became the definitive edition, and then re-released it with updated graphics and controls. So that one was fun. I kind of want to see the same thing with Lego Lord of the Rings, to be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind too. I need to play the Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga one someday. I have it, but I never touched it yet.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
I haven't touched a Lego game in years. Like, this is the only one that's really been on my mind to cover for the show. Like, this game was supposed to be on the show 2 years ago, but I just never did it. I kept taking it off. And there was just something about this game that was calling to me. So, I mean, it really was.
It's good to finally get it done. That's for sure.
It's just such a... I think part of it is Lord of the Rings. Like, one thing I think with Lego games is, like, how well they can cater whatever their particular thing is in this. And, I feel like this is actually a very good version of the movie, a truncated version of the movies, but it does a good job of giving you the whole story.
Everything.
Yeah.
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 it definitely it definitely does a good job of that, and it does a good job of making sure that it doesn't leave out anything important while still giving you some of the subtle moments in typical Lego fashion.
Takes a very dark movie and makes it more comedic, which is okay.
But yeah,
A very dark series,
comedic
not dark
is an
movie.
understatement.
Only one of them is a dark movie.
Yeah, comedic. The comedy level though, for because Lego games typically have that over the top comedy element, and this one definitely delivers on that. Like when Legolas is firing his bow and grabs Gimli's axe and fires that at the monster that's at the lake outside of Moria. Like a lot of the scenes with Gimli were just fantastic and gave people a good chuckle while watching the movies, and they managed to translate that with the Legos.
And
Yeah, I like that they even adapted the "you got to toss me" thing into like a core gameplay mechanic you use all the time with Gimli.
They did. There's actually
made
an
it work.
achievement for tossing Gimli like 40 times.
Oh no.
That's funny. I mean, you probably would get that anyway, just if you're trying to 100% the game. So that's nice.
Oh yeah, if you're trying to 100% the game, you're definitely going to get it. Like if you just go through the main campaign, you're going to probably get about halfway.
Pretty cool. I went through just the main campaign. I didn't play anymore, unfortunately, just timing. But like this game, it just and the music because they took the music right from the movies, which I think was a perfect fit.
Not just the music, the voice acting too. Like
Okay,
it's all lines from the movie.
That's what I figured it was. I didn't think they got people back to do lines.
Yeah, and I think this is the first Lego game to have like the actual the voice acting at all, because they used to just do kind of the grunts and act stuff out. I think this was the first time they spoke.
Yep. And like I said, it was all lines taken from the movie. Like they actually had a contract with Warner Brothers to do that. Like it was really good the way they did that. So I think I think that was a huge immersion detail.
Because it also fit. They made all the lines fit, even though we're in Legos.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, because I don't think the game would have hit I definitely think the game would not have hit the same if you're going from Gollum and Smeagol having a conversation to just different styles of grunts and moans.
No, you need the lines. Lord of the Rings, I think, is one of them where you need the lines. You need and Mohawks. Like you just need those. It just doesn't. It's not the same. You can get away with it in some of the other fictions, but this is one where you need them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But yeah, this just reminded me how much I love Lord of the Rings. Like playing through this, and there was some stuff I had forgotten. I know most of the Lord of the Rings story pretty well, but I had forgotten a few things.
What were some of the things you forgot?
A lot of Return of the King. I couldn't remember if they killed the spider or not.
Technically, no. No, they did not kill Shelob.
Return of the King I've only seen once.
Gotcha.
That movie, I don't know, most of that movie I don't remember. Like, I don't remember I forgot about the green ghost guys.
The Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. It's just one of those, it's my least favorite of the three by far. And books. Like, I've read Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, I've read Two Towers, but I've never read Return of the King. I just don't like Return of the King as much.
Well, Return of the King, the problem with Return of the King is that book in particular has a lot of switching back and forth, and there's a lot of expositional material. And so it's definitely a harder flow for the story than the first two books, but definitely less so than the Silmarillion.
Oh, I never finished that. I had it at one time. I actually had the.
Well, you get points for trying.
I did read some of that book actually, and then I just stopped reading it. I was like, I'm good. This is not fun.
You get points for trying when it comes to the Silmarillion because it's a long read. It's a hard read.
Oh, well, it's meant to be read.
Yeah, it's foundational in establishing the lore behind Middle Earth.
This reminded me how much I just enjoy Middle Earth. Like, the one thing I want to say, the way this game opens up, like the movie opens up, like when it comes to you being in the Hobbit town, well, besides, I don't really care for the opening part when you're playing Isidore. I mean, that's fine. That's a Lego level. But like when you first get to be in the Hobbit town and run around, like that is so nice just to have that open world Lego for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me how much I really enjoyed I didn't have time in this game. I mostly followed what the game wanted me to do, but it was just really cool to see it there.
Right.
I was going to say, I think that is my favorite part of this game is the open, like, overworld stuff, being able to go from the Shire to Bree, and then, like, later on, you can be walking around, you'll see, I don't know, like Rohan over here, and you can go over to like all the different spots and seeing them all laid out, and you can just kind of go place to place, walk around in Rivendell, and the music changes up there, and being able to see everything all in one map is something I've wanted from wish we had like a realistic Lord of the Rings game, or but they captured it here in Lego really, really well, and having that open world Middle Earth is definitely like my favorite part of it. And there's all sorts of nods to not just the movies, but even like stuff from the books, like tucked away. Like you can find Tom Bombadil.
Yes.
All that stuff, like having that open world and it be so like fleshed out is definitely like the highlight of the game for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've played a lot of Lord of the Rings games, including Lord of the Rings Online, where you have pretty much all of Middle Earth laid out before you at this point. But like that's an MMO, and that's just going to have updates upon updates upon updates. This is a complete game that shipped that had all of Middle Earth, and it wasn't overly dramatically sized either. I think it was the perfect size for the world that they needed to show.
Yeah, because I mean, the real distance they walk is huge in the movie, or in the story. So they truncate it, but that's fine. You don't want to have your video game where you're going to walk now for 3 hours in one direction and there's nothing here. Just walk.
Yeah.
Right.
You always want to play your game.
I mean, I do love with this one.
Right?
I do love with this one that once you beat the game, the gates of Mordor are open, and so you can just walk right in, and then get an achievement for walking right into Mordor.
Yeah.
So that's where that achievement was. I knew there was an achievement for one does not simply walk into Mordor.
Yeah. I mean, hell, there's an achievement called Taking the Hobbits to Isengard, where you have to walk into Isengard as every single Hobbit in the game.
But I think the Mordor one, because it was such a big meme at the time, it makes me so happy they put it in the game.
Yeah.
Because that was one of those early memes.
That's another great thing about the Lego games in general is they do tap heavily into meme culture especially when it comes to something like achievement, like they did it with Lego Star Wars, they did it with Lego Lord of the Rings, they did it with Lego Marvel Avengers. Like they tap into the memes, and it's a great meta thing for the people who understand it, and for the people who don't, it's they're still getting rewarded with an achievement for just stumbling into something.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, hell, there's even a Boromir meme Funko Pop where it's literally it even says meme on the bot. A little sticker that says meme, and then it's just him kind of like how he's supposed to be like sitting on a stool or whatever, like smoking when he's talking. At that point whenever he says the famous line, and it's just funny. I never bought it, but I looked at it a few times. I actually don't own very many Lord of the Rings Funko Pops. I have Treebeard, but I think that's it. So I only bought that because I have it signed.
I have a little, it was a Christmas gift from my girlfriend this past year. It's like mini Funko Pops, like they're very small. But I have a little set of 4 of them that she got me, and I think they're randomized. But it had Frodo, Gandalf, Gollum, and a Ring Wraith in it. And I keep that on my work desk, and I like them a lot.
They're very cool. I've never bought them. They come in 4 packs. 3 are seen, and 1 is random. Mm-hmm. I've looked at them way too many times. I collect way too many Funko Pops, so something I know way too. I just don't own. I mean, they have Lord of the Rings one now. The only reason, but back when I bought Treebeard, they didn't really have any. I only bought it because I think is it the guy's name Jonathan Rhys Meyer? I'm saying it wrong. That's somebody else. The guy that did Gimli also did the voice of Treebeard.
Yeah, John Rhys Davies.
Yes, wrong. Yeah, him. I got to meet him. Real nice guy. And the only thing the only Funko Pop that was out of him at the time and anything was Treebeard, so I got that signed.
Okay.
I would have rather had Gimli or Saul, but those were not out. Those are both out now, but not when he came to the convention I was at. So, real friendly guy.
Yeah.
I plan to meet him again someday if he ever comes.
He's just an amazing actor, and he did a hell of a job in Lord of the Rings. Like, he really brought the character Gimli to life, because, as I mentioned earlier, the way that, like, just his subtle sounds and looks and the way he does things, a lot of that was him, and it honestly took Gimli from this just, like, one-dimensional fighter to a fighter that has feelings and has emotions and isn't afraid to show them. Like, take the scene where he tells Aragorn that he's going to have to toss him. There's a lot of hesitation before Gimli delivers that line because he realizes what this means.
He's going to get thrown.
Also, playing this did remind me, because we were talking about like how it brought back memories of the movies, that Gimli is like not comedic relief in like a bumbling kind of way, but he's such a like funny, intentionally funny character, and having like all of the funniest parts of those movies to me, a lot of them are tied to Gimli, and they represent a lot of those moments in the game really well. You get an achievement called "It Still Only Counts as One" for being Legolas and taking down one of the elephants at the Pelennor Fields fight, which is, he's great. And I think the humor in this game reminded me how much I like a lot of Gimli's humor, especially like in Two Towers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Two Towers. No, they do a really good job with it in this game too, to like capture it. Because like, I mean, you know, there's probably a lot of people out there, probably a lot of kids at the time, that this was their first experience of these movies, and this will give you the 3 movies a very good idea of what's going on in a pretty friendly manner. And I think Return of the King needs a nice friendly manner instead of hearing, "We're all gonna die. Life is awful." So I prefer this.
Definitely. I'm a huge, like I said, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and you know, if I just want to waste a couple of hours recapping the story of Lord of the Rings, there's no better way to do it than Lego Lord of the Rings going forward.
No, this was it was so nice to revisit. Like, one level I want to talk about, one of the early levels, the Nazgul level, the way they took that little small part of them hiding from the Nazguls and turned it into a pretty fun little level. It's impressive.
Yeah.
And comedic, because you're constantly like just breaking things and little birds are flying around and they're like, "Oh, it must be, he's over here." I did laugh a few times at that. It just, yeah, I like the Nazguls.
Yeah. Or like the way that they handle the fight on Weathertop, where you actually have to control Frodo, who's in the shadow area because he's wearing the ring, and then control Sam to like coordinate between the two of them, between like building and setting fires. Like, just fantastic.
And I do love the fact that you have to make the dinner too. You know, they do the whole, "What about second dinner?" You know, and again, that's a meme in itself now. Like, hell, I remember with Minnesota, people are like, "What about second winter?" And like all the other jokes that come along with that meme now, and I'm like, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely one of the games that, just like I said, they tap into meme culture. They know how to do it well, and they haven't stopped.
Well, this movie was memed so much,
and
it works. There's so many good lines that make good memes. So I don't know, Nazgul stuff. I mean, even when like there's a couple of levels in here or in the mission where they have you running towards the screen, all that works well in Lego because it gives you an excuse to knock over shit to get more studs.
Yep.
Break everything.
Yep, and it's always a chase scene. Always a chase scene.
Yeah, I don't like that one. I'm trying to still get the trophy from that, the spider chase.
Yeah, fucking spider.
I
don't like that spider either.
Sorry, the mini kit. This is like,
yeah, the mini kits are hard to get sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Not even just the mini kits, the mithril bricks. There's a couple in Mordor that just, like, it sucks. And one of the ones, you literally have a whole path of stuff you have to hop on. Well, something went wrong with the coding, where when you try to hop to the left to change directions, it falls short. So what you want to do at that point, and pro tip for the people who are still trying to get that brick, do it as Legolas, and when you can, diagonal jump, like skip a brick by diagonal jumping. So it'll probably take you a few tries, but that's the easiest way to do it.
All right. One thing I noticed, like, with this game, well, I tried to run this first on Steam Deck. This game does not run on Steam Deck, by the way.
Yeah.
Not well. It ran, but all the water or the lava was all, like, bright colors. It couldn't do the textures. So I just ended up playing this on PC, and it worked fine on PC.
Yeah, I've heard there's a lot when it comes to Lego games on Steam Deck.
I'm going to blame EA somehow in this case. I know they weren't involved, but I'm going to blame them anyway.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
They think this game had Origin I had to use to get it up and running or not. I don't know, but there was some. There was some DRM there I saw. So
okay,
there's always some stupid DRM that tries to fuck up PC gaming. If you know you can fix it, you could just get rid of it at this point a lot of times.
Right.
But no, I just would rather have done a little bit more because Steam Deck can just kind of come with me and be wherever I am, so it's easier to do stuff.
Yeah, and this is definitely one of those games where you can pick it up, put it down. Like, you pick it up, be like, okay, I'm going to go grab this, and then get sidetracked. But you can still save what you're doing, put it down, and come back to it when you can pick it back up again. With PC, you don't have that option.
No. Also, this game does not appreciate if you decide to close your laptop and try to put it in sleep mode. Yeah, that's not a thing. I found out real fast. The game's like, no, we're just gonna close out the entire game, make you start back from where you last saved. It didn't appreciate being paused for that long. So I'm like, oh, I was playing somewhere else and I had to leave, so I closed up my laptop. I'm like, I'll just finish it when I get home. And I got home a half an hour later, opened it up, and I'm like, yep, nope, you're not finishing it. Yeah, it's an older game.
Yep, back when they were loading all the older games with DRM.
Yeah, because they didn't trust PC gaming or digital gaming at all. That's really what it was.
Well, it was like the first forefront into digital gaming, and piracy was a huge thing back then. So everybody was trying every which way to DRM their game. So
yeah, I'm glad that they still do, but I'm glad it's not much of a thing anymore.
Well, that's because they have the digital licensing now, it's a lot harder to spoof that. So, but also games tend to be a lot more easily accessible, and they're always running sales, always running deals on new stuff. So they figure if you can't afford, like hell, yeah, the Steam sale happens how many times a year? Like
4 big ones, but then there's also multiple sales throughout the year. Throughout almost every week, there's different stuff that goes on sale. So yeah,
right. I remember when the Steam sale was once a year. Like
I'm glad that's not the case.
Yeah.
Plus, you get free games now, Epic and everything else, Amazon Prime. Like, I'm sure I have this game on Epic and other things too that has gotten to me free somehow.
Right.
I bought it. I had it on Steam. So I just played it on Steam, but I'm sure it's been all those different places. But
yeah,
the stuff with Boromir, that level with Boromir when you're running as Frodo near the end of Fellowship, that level cracked me up a few times. So there's a couple parts where you blow up something. He's like, Frodo. And like the whole tree goes falling down, and it's just like, okay, this is. I see what you did there, guys.
Yeah, I mean, again, them having like Lego games being Lego games. He gets shot with an arrow. Obviously, he gets shot with a broom, gets shot with a carrot, and then almost gets shot with a chicken.
I was gonna shout that part out as one of the funniest parts of the game to me, because you even like have gameplay parts when he still has like the broom in him, and he's like slower. Like you're fighting the different like Urukai and everything. But I think that part's really funny.
It is.
It was great. It was great. Like, because you take what's meant to be a very sad scene in the movie, because this is his atonement for this is his atonement. He's been tempted by the ring. He turned back from that tempting, and now the ring essentially punishes him. Because there's the comparison between when Boromir is shot. Both of them are shot with 3 arrows in an ambush. And you have the contrast. You have Isildur, who was tempted by the ring, and the ring wanted to get away. And Isildur laid into the ring. And so he got shot in the back 3 times with arrows. And Boromir turned away from that temptation and was shot 3 times in the front.
Oh, I've never put together that comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Okay, I appreciate that. Isn't in the book? Isn't it more arrows he gets shot with? If I remember correctly.
No, it's 3 in the book.
Oh, okay.
Like
3 arrows would do the job, though.
Oh yeah, one thing Peter, especially three arrows from an orc. One thing Peter Jackson tried to do is when he did incorporate something into the movie, he did his best to be as book accurate, especially if it didn't interfere with storytelling. Like if it told a better story, he would take liberties with it. Like especially like for instance when Aragorn gets Andúril in the book, he leaves Rivendell with it. In the movie, he doesn't get it till right before the Battle of Pelennor Field. When he has to go subjugate the ghost people, essentially. So narrative-wise, it makes sense for that. But in the book, if you were to do it the way the book did it, it's just okay. Now he's got this super awesome sword that his ancestor wielded.
Yeah, it does work better in the movie that they wait for it. So yeah, I didn't realize that was in the book. It was earlier.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't read the books in years. I did try to read Hobbit again recently. I really like Hobbit a lot.
I mean, Hobbit's a really nice, easy read. So
yeah, that too.
Like it's one of those books. I read it when I was 11, and I'm looking forward to my son reading it just because it's a great intro novel.
I also feel like in this game they did a really good job of giving the characters finding a way to give them all unique abilities that worked well for the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was nice because Lego always finds a way, but this was good.
But you had such a diverse cast of characters. Like I was just about to say, like take Merry for instance, where in the movie he doesn't really do much outside of just be a normal hobbit. a mischievous hobbit at that. But in the game, he's actually integral with his water bucket, with his fishing line. I can't remember. Pippin's got the water bucket, but like Merry's got a fishing line, and it's required to progress certain areas that he's in.
Mm-hmm. And what's good too, you have a tool bag. When you go through the game, you collect all the different items, and you can switch that tool to that like any character. So you can take like a hobbit, give him a bow, or give him like a mithril bowl, and that makes it more unique too. So you don't have to switch characters all the time. And
yeah, although it is fun running around making everybody dance with the mithril disco.
Yeah,
I vaguely remember that.
The song is actually a banger too. So like they did a really awesome job with that. But yeah, collecting all the different stuff and just watching as, you throw on the mithril spring shoes and you got a hobbit that's jumping as high as an elf.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. I did not mess with any of the mithril stuff, unfortunately, but I had forgotten that it had all that in there.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely wanted to give everybody they wanted to give people the ability to play as their favorite character.
Yeah, and I think especially like that core fellowship, like each person feels very distinct, like among the main group.
Besides Boromir, unfortunately.
No, Boromir was unique in the game. Like he had his sword, he had his shield, so he could actually block damage. But then he also had the horn of Gondor, which could stun people.
Oh, that's what that horn does.
Yeah,
that didn't work out too well for him. Oh no, that scene still got me. Even in this game, when you start hearing the horn, Aragorn's like, "Boromir's calling." I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's this point now." I remember the first time in movies. That's a moment, all right. Whew.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a moment. And then like you have the scene. It's a sad scene where he's going over the waterfall, but Lego managed to make it comedic. Like it was great.
Yeah, I forgot about the waterfall scene, and when that you see him like just bouncing off the rocks on his way down is pretty.
They do a good job.
Poor Boromir's poor Boromir's corpse. Like poor corpse.
They do a good job making everything so funny in this. They really do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was impressed how much I was laughing during this game, because I laughed a lot more than I expected. So it was kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, I go into every Lego game expecting good laughs, and it just helps that it's from an IP that I've been invested in since I was 11 years old.
Man, so. They show really good love to this IP too, though. So
yeah. So being a fan of this IP for 29 years, like they did justice.
So I have more of a Lord of the Rings question. Why did Saruman turn to the dark side? I can't remember what his motive was.
Essentially, power. It was essentially power. Like, because in the lore, Saruman, Gandalf, Radagast, and the two blue wizards are sent to Middle Earth to help the free peoples, like, combat the evil of Sauron and Morgoth. And they're each given specific tasks. Like Gandalf's task is more so to inspire and rally the people of Middle Earth. Saruman was the wisest of them, and so he was more so to the information repository. And then Radagast was more geared towards the flora and fauna. Well, Saruman got corrupted because he wanted the power. He wanted to essentially be an equal to Saruman or to Sauron. So that's when he changes from Sauron the White to Sauron of many colors.
Okay. I just couldn't remember why he turned exactly.
Yeah, it was power driven.
That makes sense. Power does corrupt.
Yep.
So, okay. It was just one of those things that was in my head, and I could not remember if it was explained in the movies or not. It's been so long.
Yeah, it doesn't really get explained in the movies. It's definitely explained in the books, though.
Yeah, power corrupting does make sense, though.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yep. So, but then once Sauron abandoned his position of the White, and Gandalf defeated the Balrog and essentially died, he was reborn as Gandalf the White.
Oh, I did not realize it was because Saruman had turned.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I never knew that part.
Yeah. Eru was like, okay, this dude failed in his task. This dude has completely forsaken us. You're now the White, but you're still going to have not just your job, but you're going to have all the knowledge that you need to, get it done. So Gandalf was essentially a cheat code.
Well, I don't think they wouldn't have survived 2 towers without him. So they would have been.
They wouldn't have. Because like you see some of the stuff that Gandalf does in Fellowship, and it's minuscule. He's not really using his magic because he doesn't need to. His job is to inspire. But now you come into Two Towers. He's casting beams of light everywhere and essentially breaking the clouds. Like essentially the chains were taken off.
I mean, he's the reason they survive at Helm's Deep. Otherwise, like, I always remember in the movie when they're marching down that hill and the orcs have all their spears up. I mean, you're gonna get your first force just gutted by those spears.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it ain't gonna work well. Cavalry does not beat pikemen. That's what I've learned in RTS games. And because he does a shiny light, he blinds them all. They raise their spears and they just get murdered. Otherwise, they're all fucked really fast.
Oh yeah. Well, especially because there's tens of thousands of orcs down there, and maybe a few hundred keep defenders.
Yeah, it wouldn't have ended well.
No, it definitely would have not. Although the elves definitely helped out there.
I had also never realized until playing through this game that the elves are actually from Rivendell.
The elves have different areas they come from because you have the elves of Rivendell, you have the elves of Mirkwood.
Oh,
and
both
then
of
there's
them?
other. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Legolas is Prince of the Mirkwood realm.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I know in this they even said we were sent from Elrond, and I never caught that line before, or at least have no memory of it. Oh, yeah, one thing I was impressed that Lego did in here is they make a whole level out of the mountain part, which is barely in the movie, but they make it a whole level where you get to walk the mountains before they're like, yeah, we're done. Fuck this place. I don't know. I really appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those.
That.
But no, you really don't. Like, and they're like Tolkien drew maps and stuff like that, so they were kind of able to extrapolate how they would do that. So they did a really good job of that, and they did a really good job of trying to translate the peril of taking the Pass of Caradhras.
I thought they got it across really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just fun to play that level because it's a good snow level and it works, and they got another level out of the first movie, so
yeah. Well, I mean, they managed to get good-sized levels out of everything, like you were saying with the Nazgul. Like they managed to make an entire level out of that. And it's a 45-second scene in the movie.
Yes.
So, but now you get a 10-minute level out of it, and it's
one of my favorite. I really like the Nazgul scene too, and the way I will always love the whole thing when they're about to go into Moria, and it's when it's like speak friend and enter, and they can't figure it out. I mean, they truncated it in this game really quick, but I just love that part so much still to this day.
Right. Well, they did a great job with it. It was it's one of those things like in the game you got to translate that into gameplay, and so again it's everybody working together. It's Gimli breaking stuff. It's Merry fishing. It's a lot of fun in general.
They didn't put the meme from Moria in here, did they? There was no. I have no memory of this play. That line wasn't in the game, was it?
No, it wasn't in the game.
I love that line.
Yeah. Well, because that scene in the movie was just them doing a bunch of walking around looking at stuff.
But they do have the Gimli lines.
They have the Gimli lines. But that scene that you're talking about was before they got to the Tomb of Balin, where the game picks up.
You're right. It's been a while.
Like I said, I'm a super fan.
Casey, what do you think of Moria?
Like the Moria level?
And it's Moria in general, but yes, the level too.
That was one of my favorite levels for like the Fellowship part of the game. I think there's a lot of my favorite scenes in there. I like the troll battle. It's really somber, and it hit me more later after reading like the books and stuff and going through stuff. But when you find out that that's like it's Balin, I think's tomb.
Yeah,
it was Balin, like one of the dwarves from from the Hobbit crew, and like that's their tomb, and like you like learning more of that history and everything, like really sunk in when I actually went through and read all the books about a year ago.
It hits hard,
and yeah, definitely. But I think there's like a lot of great set piece moments in there. I mean, it's like 3 great ones back to back because there's the tomb battle with the troll. There's the stairway fight where they're like shooting orcs with arrows and swinging the stairs back and forth, which they adapt into the Lego game in a fun way, like trying to get everyone across together. And then there's the Balrog fight at the end. It's a real standout moment in the movie, and I think they do a really good job hitting all those highlights in the game. Yeah, I think that's one of the best parts, especially of the Fellowship levels, which, just because of how Fellowship works, tend to be a little more low-key than the stuff that goes on later. like compared to like Helm's Deep and stuff like that. I think they did a
there's
really
not
good
much
job
at
with that
stake
little.
at that point.
Yeah.
Well, things go to hell when you get to Helm's Deep and things. So.
Oh yeah. Well, that's because you got the forces of Sauron on the move, and Sauron's ready to strike at that point.
Nice.
So
Fellowship. Oh, the stuff with the trench, is that Fellowship or is that Two Towers?
Two Towers.
Okay. Yeah, because Fellowship ends after Moria. Boromir, they go. Boromir gets killed, and that's where Fellowship ends.
Yeah. Yep.
It's been a long time.
Aragorn loots the body, and then they send him over the waterfall, and decide to go chase some work, go hunt some work.
And then
they do get the line in from Saruman where he's like, "Orcs were once elves." They get that line in here. They worked it in.
Yep. Well, they had to, because it's a major expositional point, especially when you get to the creation of the Uruk-hai, who are selectively bred.
Okay, so the Uruk-hai are different than the orcs that they fight at Mordor, correct?
In a way, yes, because Uruk-hai are still not all Uruk-hai are orcs, but not all orcs are Uruk-hai. Essentially, think like genetic crossbreeding.
Okay.
So, like the genetically
I was thinking of brands just now in that comparison. Like, not all jacuzzis are hot tubs, or not all jacuzzis are hot tubs, but all hot tubs. I said it wrong, but yes.
Not all hot tubs. Yeah, I know what you were talking about. Yeah, so like they essentially Saruman did a lot of crossbreeding, essentially build the strongest orc that he could, so that way it could walk it could function in sunlight, albeit not as effective as like a normal person.
I forgot they can't function in sunlight.
Yeah, orcs can't, whereas Uruk-hai can, but it's still at a reduced effectiveness compared to like a normal person.
Okay, that I did not remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember my Lord of the Rings canon very well. It's been too many years. Been a lot. I was really into it at one time.
That's why I'm on this podcast, folks.
No, I'm happy you did. I was worried that nobody would even want to talk about this game with me. That's why it didn't happen for so long, but I really wanted to play it. And I'm glad I did, because this is just a really fun platformer.
Oh, yeah. It's a fun platformer, fun collect 'em all. But yeah, so getting back to it, that's, the Uruk-hai were specially bred. So that's why there was a lot of importance on them as an enemy. Like 10 Uruk-hai would essentially beat the shit out of 100 orcs.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then.
Yeah.
Legolas has always been one of my favorite characters, and even in this game, whenever I got the chance to use him, I just go with Legolas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I definitely played as him like most of the time.
He's great.
Yeah. Until you start collecting mithril items, he essentially does everything you need him to do, unless it requires Gimli.
Yeah, he can definitely, because his jump is so high too, he's just really good for just getting around the level, and like you said, he can kind of carry a lot of what you need him to do. He's decent at fighting, get around. A lot of the puzzles require his ability to swing off of posts and stuff. So yeah, I almost always had default to Legolas when I was just going around a level, unless it was like you said, specifically I need Gimli for this bit or Sam for this part.
Yep, exactly. It just always made more sense to play as Legolas because of his versatility.
Yeah, plus he's just my favorite character from Lord of the Rings, so I used him all the time.
Yeah, I mean, Aragorn doesn't really get anything special until he gets Andúril. Then he can destroy Morgul bricks. But, up until that point, Legolas does everything that Aragorn can do aside from track, which is used in 2 levels.
Yeah, which I'm okay with. I mean, they make it work, but I was okay that it was only there 2 times. I didn't mind that.
Yeah.
So when Aragorn falls off during that battle when they're fighting the orcs and stuff, how does he get saved? Did somebody rescue him? I can't remember what happened. He
wasn't rescued by a person. He just kind of came to, thanks to Brago, which was Theoden's son's horse.
Okay, it's been so long I could in this game they kind of he's just there at Helm's Deep, and I couldn't remember how it worked out.
Yeah, no, he was kind of woken up by Brago, and then Brago carried him to Helm's Deep. So from that point on, Brago is essentially his horse.
Okay,
and it all stems from the very minor scene of when Aragorn is in the stables and Brago is kind of going nuts, and Aragorn calms him down. People see that as a minor scene, but then
he's rescued by him, so not that minor.
Right, it holds a lot of weight later.
I also felt this game did boss fights pretty well. When you fight the big squid thing from the first movie, that worked well. I do like that creature a lot, actually.
Yeah. Well, like, all the boss fights in general, like, because you have the fight, like you have the fight with Shelob, where you have to collect the vial, where you have to collect Sting, and it doesn't matter what character you collect them as. Like you have to you collect those 2 items to open up that one attack you get, and then have to rinse and repeat. Like they made it so that way it actually requires some action, but it's not overly complicated.
No, God, I hate Shelob so much for some reason. I do
It's
not
one of my
like that
favorite
giant
fights in
spider.
the game. It's one of my favorite fights in the game.
Robert, what do you think of Shelob?
Which one is that? Sorry, I'm not too good with the giant spider. Yeah. I'm not fond with that one. No.
Okay. I don't mind real spiders. I don't like giant spiders, apparently. So
yeah.
Or in real life, I wouldn't like to run across a giant spider either. So
I mean, not unless you got a glowing blue sword and a vial of light.
Yeah, maybe then I'd be okay with it, but I don't see that happening.
Right.
I'm gonna be real. I don't think I'd be okay with a truck-sized spider, even if I had a sword. I'm not gonna try and stab it. I would want to run across Shelob.
Nobody
I don't know
would,
what it is. That damn spider. Still not like
Yeah.
But no, they did a good job of trying to work everything in. I'm trying to think some of the 2 tower stuff. Helm's Deep is always good. Like, that's a staple of Lord of the Rings. Oh, I forgot they have a level in the marsh. That was okay.
It was of all the levels, that's my least favorite because it's just a lot of running and jumping and building stuff. There's no real actual combat. For me, when it comes to my Lego games, I want a good mixture of everything in a level. Like, I want a good mixture of everything.
It was one of the more boring ones for me. I mean, it's cool that they worked it into an entire level because if I remember, the swamp scene is like a minute of them just walking through the swamp seeing dead people.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, it's essentially just a filler scene, and you get the exposition from Sam when they see like the statue head where the flowers have created a crown. And then Sam kind of brings up Bilbo's poem that he came up with about the crownless Shelby King. So for those of you who don't know, yes, Bilbo wrote the poem that Arwen recites when they're reforging Andúril.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I did not know that, by the way. I mean, cute little touch to have in there to kind of, bring all the characters together.
Yeah, Bilbo, when he left the Shire, became a very well-known poem writer.
Because he had been gone from the Shire for years at the point of the first of Fellowship, right? Or like when they get...
Yeah, like 11 years.
God, was it that long before they leave?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say one of my favorite, things that gets kind of lost in translation to the movie is, the passage of time and, ages and stuff like that. Like, isn't Aragorn's 87 or something like that? When they get to Moria in the book, they spend 2 weeks in there before they find the tomb. And yeah, it's 11 years between when Bilbo leaves on his birthday and when Frodo leaves the Shire. But the movie makes it seem like maybe a month goes by.
Well, yeah, because when after Bilbo leaves and the ring it's discovered that it's the One Ring, Frodo actually sells Bag End to the Sackville Baggins.
Yeah.
He actually sells Bag End and moves to a neighboring town, and that's where he adopts the name Underhill.
Okay.
Yeah. The only one that knew he was Frodo was Samwise.
Yeah, because originally Merry and Pippin were not part of the deal, and they were like, we knew you were up to something, and so they just in the book they just ambush him at his new house, and are basically we know you're doing something, we know you're planning on going away, so you got to bring us too.
Right, exactly.
Oh, why were there humans siding with Mordor? That I don't remember what the reasoning was.
Power.
Oh, okay.
Territory.
Yeah, I think a lot of it. Yeah, I think a lot of it tends to be too a lot of them just well, there's no way we're gonna beat Sauron, but if we join him, then he won't. We'll have power, we'll have land or whatever under his. Yeah, sort of, Yeah,
and a lot of them were men from the east, and the eastern lands tend to be a lot harsher. So resources are scarce. And so you have the chance to team up with essentially what you see as the winning side, maybe get some land in this fertile area of Middle-earth,
Because Middle-earth is just a continent, essentially, or a section of land of this entire world, right? Where we're at.
Well, it's Middle-earth is the entire world. We only really kind of get to see half to 2/3 of it, because the eastern lands really don't get talked about.
Okay.
So, they don't really get talked about. 2 of the wizards end up going that way. Nobody knows their names. Nobody knows what their task was.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It's been a bit. Been a long bit. I couldn't remember how much of the world was that we see in these movies or in this that we don't see later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things for them to try to include everything. It would have been 12 movies.
Which never would have happened. I still can't believe we got these movies sometimes.
Right. Well, let's put it this way: a lot of sacrifices were made to make these movies a reality, as far as the lore goes. So,
yeah,
like one of the things we haven't talked about is towards the end when they return to the Shire. They return to essentially a Shire that's been conquered by Saruman.
Mm-hmm. And then,
they don't do in this game.
Yep, and then all of our hobbits are now like basically battle hardened and lead like a rebellion to kick them out.
Yeah, like Grima's been turned into a legit snake, and yeah, they essentially form a rebellion. These peaceful gardeners form a rebellion to kick him out.
I was wondering because when you beat this game, it actually has you walk all the way back to Rivendell, and I'm like, I thought they were gonna take me all the way back to the Shire. I'm like, oh, are you gonna have a little like level for me or a scene? Because I couldn't remember, and it's just the bonus level where you get to play as Sauron and destroy everything.
There is a bonus scene if you go to Bag End.
Oh.
Yep. There's a bonus scene if you go to Bag End after beating the game where they talk about Bilbo being accorded the special honor of going to the Undying Lands.
Oh, okay.
I missed that. I went back to the Shire, but I just went inside Bag End and found out like you unlock like a character customizer and stuff like that. But I actually missed the Bilbo scene.
Yeah, there's a legit whole scene, and they even go beyond what the movies did by putting Legolas and Gimli in there because it's kind of like a final hoorah for the game, and then the end credits roll.
Oh, oops! I should have did that. Oh well, too late now.
Yeah, so it was a very well done scene, especially for a scene in the movie that is so sad. Like, there's not much in the way of movie scenes that get me emotional. That one does every time, and I've seen that movie a dozen times. Like, that scene gets me emotional.
One touch they did in this game that I thought was also a good way is that throughout the campaign they'll have you switch from once the party separates after Fellowship, like they'll block it off, say, "Oh, Sauron's watching," so then you have to switch to Frodo or you have to switch to Aragorn and then play their part, and then to keep along with the movie. I think that was a nice touch, a good way to work.
It really was. It was one of those things that you kind of needed to do because you can't just go through the whole game as, one part. You can't go through all the parts of one party, and the way they did it makes sense. Sauron's gaze is going to fix on where the most important things are.
Yeah.
So
the Faramir level was also good, where you have to switch between Frodo and Faramir before he lets them go. Yep. That's all Two Towers, right?
Yes, that's Two Towers. Okay. That's towards the end of Two Towers.
Okay, because Two Towers ends where Frodo then goes towards Mordor, correct?
Yep. Okay. Yep. Essentially, before Two Towers ends with Gollum leading, and I don't say Smeagol because Smeagol is still kind of on the fence about betraying them. Gollum leads them to the secret stairs, and you can tell it's Gollum by the tone of voice when he tells the hobbits to follow him.
Yeah. They do pull that off well in the movies, and even in here too. They do a good job of letting you know how there's two different characters.
Yep. But yeah, so that closes out Two Towers, and that happens right after the Battle of Osgiliath.
Okay, I couldn't remember what's what, so that helps.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so
yeah. So they have the Helm's Deep level is all good as it always is in every single freaking Lord of the Rings games. Like they pulled that off well.
Yeah.
Which, no surprise there.
No, definitely no surprise there. Honestly, though, my favorite level, I would definitely have to say, was Cirith Ungol. Because it had that's the one where Sam and Frodo have to dress up in orc costumes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Because you start off with a great combat section and then have to do a lot of puzzle solving.
Yeah, that was a good
like I don't care if you front load all the combat and then make me think, or make me think and then give me combat. Like, I want all of it in a level. And so for me, that was the perfect blend. So, and then, of course, some of the puzzles you solve have your typical Lego humor to it.
You open up like the sewage pipe on an orc and he gets grossed out and hops in the shower, and that's how you get his like armor shirt from him.
That was a good little joke.
Yep. Or then there's the fact that there's that one orc that's trying to constantly close the gate on you, so you have to go above and like come in through the ceiling on him.
And then beat him up.
But in order to do that, you actually have to use Frodo's cloak to blend in with the scenery to get past him, so you can climb the ladder.
I forgot about that cloak being a thing in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and one brief thing I want to touch on, because I just been reminded of it, like throughout the overworld map, there's tons of little things to do to unlock mithril blocks. Like apparently there were like these blinker things that I saw at one point. I did not realize you're supposed to race through them and you get a mithril block. So
Yep.
Yeah,
There's actually quite a few of them.
Yeah, there'll
Not
be
know
like
they were
races, whack-a-mole challenges. We'll like break these objects in a certain amount of time. Yeah, there's all sorts of little like kind of recurring mini games, and then other like one-off challenges and platforming bits and stuff.
But it makes the game.
And
I mean, it gives you more replay.
It really does. And one of the cool things about the races is like later on when you're trying to go for the 10 billion studs achievement, they're a good way to actually get some studs quick if you don't want to sit there and play through levels, because they award quite a few studs at the end of them.
That's nice.
So because every time you do a challenge, if you've got the mithril brick already, you get a purple stud.
Oh, cool. So you can help get your money too to unlock stuff.
Yeah, and then the races shower you with studs after you beat them.
Okay. Yeah, there's just so much to this game, and I was impressed what Lego did, or Traveler Tales did, I should say. I was impressed.
Yeah.
They fit a lot
and I know
of
you didn't. One of my favorite aspects, though, and I know you didn't do a lot of the post game content, is when you go into free play, some of the secret areas you can get are just hilarious. Like you have an orc sauna in one of them. Yeah, there's one where you essentially have to go through a maze, Metal Gear Solid style. Like there's guard towers with lights, and you're hiding in a cardboard box.
Okay, that's funny that they worked that in there.
Yeah, and like if you get caught, it actually gives you the Metal Gear Solid warning sound, and a different music plays. Yeah, how they pulled that one off, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a bit impressive. They got away with that.
Right. I mean, but who's gonna be the dick that sues Legos? You know,
Konami.
Yeah, but then you're gonna catch a lot of backlash. So you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Like, do I let this stand, or
complain about a stupid?
Right.
I'm sure it was close enough where they were legally safe to make the joke. So, or something of that nature, that it wasn't copyright, even though we knew exactly what they're referencing. So, that's funny. Okay, I wish I would have seen that. That would have been cool. But I just didn't have the time, nor did I have the desire to keep playing. Not that the game wasn't good. I was just kind of done.
Right. And I can definitely understand that, because you're still looking at least a dozen hours, 20 hours to beat the main game, because you got a lot of scenes to go through, a lot of walking. So.
Yeah, I was like, I need to be done with this game and move on to my other games.
Right. Whereas, me, it's Lord of the Rings, so it's like I better go overachiever on this one.
Hey, I'm glad somebody did, because I didn't. So, so I guess the only thing really, I still want to talk about Return of the King. We haven't really talked about those levels.
We haven't really talked about that.
I don't really care. Those are my least favorite in this game too, because I just don't like Return of the King, and I can't help that.
Yeah, and that's fair, because the way that Peter Jackson did Return of the King is he's trying to sum up the longest book in the same time frame that all these other movies are. And like I said, it's got a lot of expositional material. It's got a lot of dialogue that was kind of important to the story, but doesn't really create for a great movie experience.
Yeah, it's just a depressing movie. I remember that being one of my issues with it when I was younger. But
I think when you give it another watch through, you'll find it's not as it's still depressing, but it's probably not as depressing as you originally thought. It is a down tone, though. It is a down in tone kind of movie, because the odds are stacked against them. And Peter Jackson, I think, did a good job conveying that. Except it doesn't
terribly against them.
Yeah, I would just throw in, I personally disagree. I think Return of the King is very much the best one in the trilogy.
I agree.
Yeah, for me, I used to go back and forth between Fellowship and Return, but the more I have thought about it over the years, Return is very easily my favorite one. I would say definitely recommend rewatching it, because it's the longest movie, but also it always feels the shortest to me, because it is so packed with great moments and great character work, awesome action set pieces, really high stakes drama. For me, it is on all cylinders the whole movie. And I thought a lot of those levels kind of capture that too in this game. The Pelennor Fields level was one of my favorites. because I think it does a good job of moving you from point to point with really fun gameplay. And like, you start off the Pelennor Fields with like the war charge on the horse, and then you move into like a mix of action and puzzle with taking down the Oliphants.
Yep.
And then another scene that I kind of wanted to bring up too is I think they do a really good job with the final boss. I guess, the final encounter with Gollum and everything at Mountain Doom, switching between Sam and Frodo back and forth rapidly, working in tandem, and everything's crumbling around you and stuff. And it ends with a really good chase sequence. Like, I think they capture a lot of the drama and stuff from that movie in a cute, fun setting, but playing with a lot of new a lot of mechanics very quickly. And I think they do a really good job with Return of the King, and I think Return of the King is chock full of like fantastic moments for the game.
Yeah, and just to kind of expand on that, like especially in Fellowship, you have a lot of moments that weren't really necessary. While they did move the story, weren't really necessary. Like when you have Boromir teaching the hobbits how to sword fight, that scene didn't absolutely need to be in there, but it did add to the scene. Whereas Return of the King doesn't have any of those. Like, I can't think of a single scene I would pull out from Return of the King the way that it was made, because they're all just that important.
Definitely. And it's, and it feels like one of the, like, the other movies, they're all long movies. Like, I think I beat Lego Lord of the Rings shorter than it would take to watch the trilogy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
But I do think there are parts of Fellowship and Two Towers, which, like you said, are kind of slow, like maybe not the most high drama. They're great movies, and I don't want them to cut any of that stuff. And I own the extended cuts and everything too. But Return of the King feels like every single thing was like necessary. And even then, like, there was stuff that you want in the movie that they didn't have necessarily the standard time for, like the Mouth of Sauron stuff being saved for the extended edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like a movie where it's the longest of them, and not a second of it felt wasted. If anything, it felt like they were trying to cram as much as they could into that runtime as they could.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll get
exactly. Exactly. It's one of those things where even the extended cuts couldn't go into everything they wanted.
Yeah, like the Scouring of the Shire is skipped, which makes sense for kind of how that would flow in the movie and stuff. But
a lot of that is Peter Jackson not wanting to destroy his Shire set. Like,
that does make sense too.
They spent millions of dollars building that set. They didn't want to have to raise it,
That set's still around, isn't it?
It is. It's a tourist attraction in New Zealand.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's cool. I'll probably never see it because I'll probably never go to New Zealand, but that is cool.
Oh, I would love to go to New Zealand to view it.
Me too.
But yeah, so I mean, definitely go into Return of the King your next time you're watching it with an open mind, because you'll get that exposition that we were talking about, how every scene is important.
Like, I do understand where you're coming from too, because it is that sort of, a lot of the stakes in that movie is like, leaning on like, this is like the final hour, like we are up against it now. And there are definitely like a lot of like, you can look at the battle at the Black Gate as basically like essentially a suicide mission. Like, they were like, we have like, if this fails, we have no chance of winning. Like, this is just, we fight as long as we can to hopefully hold out for Frodo to do what he needs to do. Like, you can look at it like, it's dramatic and can be seen as bleak, but I don't think the movie ever feels like grim, dark, or like cynical even. If anything, I find the movie very uplifting and very
hopeful. The book that does it more than... I remember the book being depressing.
The book does talk a lot of, especially with the Sam and Frodo parts, because I just read that last year. It does talk a lot about, like, we are in a dead land, we have like half a flask of water left, we are very hungry. Yeah, it's a very, they're as worn out as you can be.
That's Tolkien really trying to paint the picture of how desperate their situation is.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of it, like, I agree that it can be sad, it can feel bleak, but I do think, like, it feels very earned, and I don't think it ever gets, like, just overbearing with it. And it does lead to a lot of moments that I find very uplifting and very moving, like the I'll carry you thing on with Sam.
Oh, yeah.
on Yondu. Which I like too, that they made so much of that level about, Frodo he can't jump anymore. He doesn't have an attack button anymore.
No.
Like he's like wobbling around all exhausted, and most of the level is Sam like having to like solve little mini puzzles and stuff, and
which is essentially Sam carrying Frodo in that portion of the game.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I think they did a really good job of making that fun, communicating how tired Frodo is from everything, and also I think it's how Sam is really the backbone of that team.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
and I think Gandalf saw that when I think Gandalf saw that when he told Sam not to let him out of his sight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. I always thought Gandalf was like, no, you'll be necessary.
Right.
No, I loved the last several levels of the game because I think the movie gives them a really good basis to play with for their level design, but I think they also kind of nailed a lot of the moments you want to see and did a lot with their simpler gameplay mechanics, but still worked them in like fun ways that kind of enhanced the whole storytelling for the movie, I guess.
Yeah. Agreed. Like, and to kind of go back to like the feeling of you're in a no-win scenario, you're just trying to buy time. A lot of that is really summed up by Gimli delivering the line: "Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?" That's them resigning themselves to, look, we're just going to get this done because it needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I had forgotten that it was a suicide run for that last part. I did not realize.
Yeah. And again, that's just John Rhys Davies delivering what is one of the best performances in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also the thing with the Ghost Army, because they only come for the one part just to free Gondor. That's all they do?
Correct.
And they're just gone.
That's all they do.
Okay. That's
why I say it's the Deus Ex Machina of Tolkien. That's really what it is. The Deus Ex Machina of Tolkien.
Yeah, it is definitely that. I do like it as the Aragorn that's kind of his moment where he has to step up and be king and everything.
Yeah.
I do like that part to it. But no, it definitely is like kind of hey, we are definitely going to lose, and then it just wipes the field immediately and wins. It definitely is a Deus. It is like definitionally like literally divine intervention. But yeah, I like the theme there, even if it is a bit like easy out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they didn't overuse it, because think about it. Had they realized that they were going to have to attack the Black Gate, wouldn't you want an undead army at your side?
Yes, mm-hmm. But I guess if you don't save Gondor, they were all going to die, so it didn't matter.
Right.
Maybe.
Well, because Gondor was the last stronghold that Sauron really needed to conquer, because Rohan has less military might than Minas Tirith.
Yeah, because there wasn't many people left either. I mean, like, you think about it, like, most people are dead at this point. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a lot. Like the death toll between Helm's Deep and the Battle of Pelennor Fields was huge. So you got to figure they're marching on Mordor with essentially what is the new combined armies of the Free Peoples, and it still only numbers hundreds, not thousands.
Yeah, that's low. Mm-hmm. When you're trying to fight a war. I mean, yeah, not a lot of people.
Yep. See, now, if I'm the Easterlings, I'm not siding with Sauron, because Sauron's got tens of thousands of orcs. I'm waiting until that battle's done, and then I'm steamrolling the West.
Well, I guess they also figured that Sauron was gonna win, and if they weren't on his side, well, they would have been murdered too.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, but yeah, like it's like the Return of the King is meant to have that darker, sadder tone because it is against all odds. They're fighting a war that they can't hope to win because it all rests on a little 3'8" no shoe wearing motherfucker who's got a piece of jewelry. Like,
they did do the Gollum part good though too. That was a good ending level. To have Gollum run into the and because eventually you have to. The whole reason why the ring even goes in the fire is because Gollum ate his finger and goes in the fire. So
well, that's because that was Gollum's hubris that killed him. Like that was his hubris. He finally achieved his goal, and nothing else mattered.
Yeah, I always
for years.
Even as he's falling into the lava, he's just cradling the ring. He doesn't even acknowledge the danger he's in.
Right.
Doesn't care.
Right. If any of us are in that situation, we are literally Ralph Wiggum on the bus. We're in danger. But Gollum is a whole different story because his sole desire was to possess his precious.
Yeah, and he did for a couple seconds.
Yeah, well, and that couple seconds was all that mattered to him.
Aren't they
That was
making-
all that mattered.
I think they're making
Well,
a Gollum movie.
They are, and apparently Ian McKellen is signed on to play Gandalf again.
Huh. I don't know how I feel about it. They did do that Gollum game, and that went great. So, you know.
I have it. I bought it for $3 on a Fanatical bundle.
I sensed the sarcasm in your tone there.
I didn't actually buy it.
No, I'm talking about the game going great. I heard I heard very bad reviews about it.
It's like one of the worst games of like the last like decade. Like I think in terms of like its like Metacritic rating and stuff, you don't get a lot of bombs like that.
Not anymore, no.
Right.
I mean, who could believe WB? Who could believe WB would rush something out the door? Not WB, not Discovery.
I know, right? But yeah, so it's like that whole scene with Gollum finally achieving his one goal, costing him his life. Like it definitely gives that contrast of the character to the other ring bearers who didn't part with it willingly, and now you see its full corruption effect. You know, like imagine if Bilbo had not given up the ring and held it for 500 years, what he would have done.
Yeah, and we talked earlier too about like the corruption of power, the being a major theme in Lord of the Rings, and that is 100% what's going on there. Is just the eroding effect that the ring has and its like influence and stuff. Because you see it, the effects it has on Bilbo, and that really made me sad to go when I was reading through because I read Hobbit into Lord of the Rings into Silmarillion last year. And seeing like, oh man, like you realize like, because you know everyone loves Bilbo, literally everybody. The elves love him, the dwarves think he's great. Like, and then seeing like him become like really frail and like desperate for the ring in the same way, it's just that's sad. There was one other scene. Like I know we're kind of towards the end of the game. I just want to back up a little bit because I just remembered a really good little mechanic things they do, and it's in that Pelennor Fields thing. I love how they did the Éowyn and Merry fight against the ring wraith there, where you do, you know, it's a Lego boss battle. You do the kind of, you get his weapon trapped and then you can hit him and you do that like 3 times or whatever. But the ending bit where you get those little interaction rings and you have to start the battle with Éowyn and then switch over to Merry and then you cut his heel the same way it happens in the book. And then switch back to Éowyn to do the I am no man stab in the face thing. Really great because that's how it happens like in the source material, and then they transfer that to a Lego game of all things, and that was one of my favorite like boss encounters in the game.
It was a great boss encounter. It was a great boss encounter, and yeah, like you said, it really captured not just what happened in the movie, but in the book as well. And like, so that's that throwback to Lego trying to pretty much make everybody happy and succeeding.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's probably the best straight up Lord of the Rings like adaptation, like of those movies and stuff. I love those old like hack and slash PS2 games, like the Two Towers and Return of the King game. Yeah. But in terms of like,
I like them
carrying all of the story and having the open Middle Earth and all that stuff, like I think this is probably like the best like one out there.
For sure.
Any last things you guys want to say about this game before we go on to questions, comments, or memories?
Just that like I said before, I would love to see a Skywalker Saga style remake of it. Updated graphics, updated controls. Like I think it would be fantastic. And you know what? I think it could actually be in the cards because Lego is getting set to re-release the Lord of the Rings sets.
Nice. They could probably put the Ring of Power in that too.
Right. But like re-release, I don't know if putting Ring of Power in there makes a lot of sense because like it's when you're talking Lord of the Rings versus Hobbit versus other source materials, you kind of want to keep them separate. The only two you kind of lump together are Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit because they are direct flows.
Okay.
You know, something they could do, for one, I completely agree. My big thing with like the Lego games is why I think they're fun. I'm not actually that into like the gameplay itself. It's like the moment to moment stuff, like the combat and everything is, you know, fine, but they're pretty simple. I think the Skywalker Saga stuff has much more satisfying gameplay feel. So if they did revisit this with that kind of mechanical stuff, I think that'd be really fun for Lord of the Rings. But also, I do think maybe doing another pass on this would be kind of good because that Hobbit game they didn't have the third Hobbit movie in it. They were supposed to do like No, I think they like planned on releasing that as like a DLC down the line. It's only the first 2 movies.
The fuck?
Yeah. So it's missing the Battle of 5 Armies.
Right, and so
if
kind
they
of lumping those two together.
Yeah, like the Star Wars thing having the 3 trilogies together, but if they did like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings in like one complete story, that would be really great.
I agree.
I really hope they do that now.
Did they add the third movie as DLC eventually?
No,
or?
that never happened.
What the fuck?
Yeah, something went off the rails with that one. But yeah, it just kind of like ends
stupid.
after the smog stuff.
I mean, to be fair, that's where it should end. Yeah. So that's where the book ends. All right. Wow, I did not know that. I would have been real. That would have been an interesting thing next year when I would have finally got to be like, wait, where's the last movie?
Cue the more you know, Rainbow.
Okay, so you taught me something new. All right, let's go to questions, comments, and memories. I only posted in 2 groups. I didn't get much. I didn't know where to post this, and I wasn't in Lord of the Rings groups apparently. So let me see what I got.
Yeah, if you wanted to get a ton, you should have definitely posted in Lord of the Rings groups. You would have gotten flooded.
Yeah, I didn't.
So maybe once you got it edited and thrown up, you posted in a bunch of the Lord of the Rings groups.
People don't like that. Asking for questions I can get away with in almost every group. There was one group that pretty much got really mad at me and made fun of me, so I left. But otherwise than that, it's usually great. Most groups are okay with the question comment because you're getting engagement. Yes, I'm getting engagement for a particular reason, but it seems to work. From the I watched the entire Overblood Super Replay group from Randolph Sparks. There's some fun Easter eggs for book dorks in it. Yeah.
Some of which we talked about.
Yes. I always forget about Tom Bombadil.
Tom Bombadil.
I thought that was Gandalf when I was younger. I know it's not now, right?
Yeah, definitely not. Tom Bombadil is a whole different beast that, had he been part of the Fellowship, they would have had no issues. But Tom Bombadil cares about Tom Bombadil and Goldberry. Reverse the order, though.
He's in Hobbit, right? Is where he comes from?
Nobody knows what Tom Bombadil is.
He's his own thing.
He's in the Hobbit books, right?
Like, he's in the Hobbit. He's in the Fellowship of the Ring. But it's essentially it's speculated that Tom Bombadil isn't even a Maiar. He's a level above.
Okay.
He directly seems to be more powerful than even Gandalf.
Right. And so I could definitely see like Tolkien needing to put something in to progress the story and get the hobbits on their way, and just creating this all-powerful being who really is kind of selfless and selfish at the same time. But had he joined the Fellowship, it would have been game over.
Okay. That's probably why he didn't join then. So, okay. And then from the official Laser Time community, I got from Mike Amari, I hate that this was delisted. Actually, at Legoland New York, as I typed this. It's on Steam currently, so maybe it got delisted from some stuff or came back, because that happens.
Yeah, it's not on the Xbox store anymore.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have like the disc to play on an Xbox, which I found out because I was going to play it on Xbox because they have like the frame rate boost on that. You need to have like a physical.
Or you have to have owned it previously, like I did.
Yeah.
I have the digital boost.
Okay, I'm not surprised this was delisted. I'm really not, because fucking, rights
licensing,
issues.
Yeah. I'm surprised more Lego games aren't. Like, a lot of them are still available.
Yeah, at least on Steam, yeah. So I'm a little surprised too. And then from Jimmy Huelsman, the team at Travel Tale Games seemed to have true affection for the IP they would tackle in Lego games. I chewed through a lot of them at the time of their release without really appreciating them. But recently I replayed Lego Dimensions, which is floored by the deep-cut references, and not only in the movies, but the books as well, and the sly humor permeating that game. Sure, it's goofy and geared squarely at children's sensibilities, but they crafted jokes, references, and scenery that could only come out of love. The Lord of the Rings content in Dimensions is a real highlight of the game. Gandalf is your default mage character, and he gives you access to an open-world area that faithfully recreates several locales from the movie. Okay. Never got a chance to play Lego Dimensions, and probably never will. So
it's a shame. It's a good one, but it's a shame that it ended.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I always wanted to play it.
Skylanders, but Lego.
Yeah, I always wanted to play it. I'm hoping that someday, I wish they would just release it all digitally on Steam. I can just play it that way at this point. Or
luckily, I found a guy out here in Canada, Ontario, that he makes the tags for $10 each.
Oh,
so that's pretty good. I got a couple of those off of him, and they work fine.
Nice.
It's one of those things where I wouldn't have mind playing it, but I wasn't gonna buy the toys. So
the prices were ridiculous.
Way too much investment.
Yeah, I mean, I have all the Disney Infinity toys just about because I got them for buy two or buy one get 3 free essentially near the end of it. People were just trying to unload them. And I got them for cheap, and I got the whole Star Wars and Marvel sets and most of the regular set. But you also can buy them on Steam. Like I have them on Steam too, where they just have everything in there digitally. Same with Battle for Atlas, I think is what that game was called. They did the same thing for that too.
Right.
But Skylanders never did it yet. I would love to buy all the Skylander games on a collection like that, but they've never done it yet.
Well,
they haven't.
Thrift stores.
And that's what, like I said, the huge investment is one of those reasons I could never really get into those games, even though they look fun as fuck.
Yeah, I just don't want to buy all these toys.
Right. And then you got to have a place to store all the stuff, and you got to have the base accessible to where you're playing your game, and it's just a huge hassle.
Yeah, it's too much to deal with, so I never got into it. I think about it every so often. I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. Someday I'll emulate it. I'm sure at some point. It's already out there. You can emulate the whole damn thing. I just never done it. So all right, and then a couple more from Daniel Peckham. Part of me will always wonder why they didn't just call it Lego Lord of the Rings. You have to where he put LEGORD, an LEGO capital. So that's kind of funny. Just simplify things. And then from Andy Ryan, that last bonus level where you just get to trash the Middle Earth map is great. Also pairs well with Lego Hobbit because they do a great job of making both distinct. All right.
I did love trashing the Middle Earth, and that's actually how you unlock Sauron and the mouth of Sauron in the game. So you have to complete that level to unlock both of them. And it's your standard Lego bonus level where you have no modifiers as far as studs. You have to get 1 million studs. So, it's always a good time when you do the bonus levels.
I feel like they took those out of the recent games, which kind of is a bummer.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right. And I should give away a code before we go to our last segment. See what next code is to give away. All right. And the code is for Space for the Unbound. No idea. And here's your Steam code. 4X0IP C0NFKJDBI9. And that was 4X0IP in the first part. I'm pretty sure that's a 0. I'm 99% positive. So there's your code for whatever the hell a Space for the Unbound is.
I've never heard of that game.
Me either. I just get free codes.
To play list eventually. It's got my interest. I think it's like an Indonesian game. It seems to be kind of a very emotional semi-adventure game. I think would have to.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
It's got my interest. It looks neat.
It does look cool. I get a bunch. I buy Fanatical bundles and stuff like that, and Humble bundles.
Sure,
and then I give away codes.
That's cool.
Some 2023, so it's not even that old of a game. That's cool. All right, and then let's go to Shelf Stacker Box. And Casey, why don't you lead us in?
Sure. So I think then. Okay, can you remind me the
shelf means something you love. Stack mean in the middle. Box means something you disliked.
Okay, sure. Then, I'll go in the middle. I really like this game a lot, and I love Lord of the Rings. They're the best movies I've ever seen, and I love the books, all that stuff. I really do like this game quite a bit. I am not, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of, like, the Lego games overall. Like, they're not my favorite to play, but I do love the just energy and genuine appreciation they put for the licenses they use into their games. And like I said, this is one of the most, like, fully fleshed out, thoughtful adaptations of Lord of the Rings into video games. So for that, I do love that. Even if I'm probably not going to play much more of this game.
That's fair. And Robert.
Oh, this would definitely be a stack as a Lego game. Because I played all the Lego games when they came out, except for the Ninjagos. I haven't played those, and Horizon, but they're fun little games. You don't need any skill really to do anything, which is fun.
Sometimes that's just nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And for a Lord of the Rings fan, playing all the different characters, get to see what they can do and stuff like that is fun.
All right, I'll go next. I'm going to put this on the shelf. I had a great time playing through this game, and I was surprised how much I really enjoyed it. I figured I would, but I was surprised how much fun I really did have. So I'm glad it's going on the shelf, and I'm glad that it's finally part of the show. And Isaiah.
I'm definitely also on the shelf. As a lifelong Lord of the Rings fan, having started with The Hobbit at 11, having played many years of Lord of the Rings online, it's a great game to just be able to, pull off the shelf, pop it in, play it with, my 8-year-old son, because it's easy enough that he can play it, and it's a good way to introduce him to not just the movie, but the world of Middle-earth in general, before handing him a copy of The Hobbit.
All right. And I guess I should mention what we're talking about next week. Next week, you can hear me talking about Street Fighter Alpha series. So that will be next week. All about Alpha. So, pretty good series, actually. I'm playing through it currently still. So, so that's what you hear about next week. And, yeah, we should just go to plugs. And, Robert, where can people find you at?
Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under the Windsor Ghostbusters.
All right, and you'll see a link to his stuff. And if you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon. Little dog vote in our Patreon poll. We have 1 to 2 polls a month. It's a great way to support the show, great way to affect the show, because things that go in the Patreon poll sometimes never come again, because I don't want to actually do them, so I put them on a poll and see what people decide for me. So definitely go check that out. Yeah, pretty much. That's how it tends to happen. And if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to suggest things for the show, we have a Discord. Join our Discord. It's free. We're always happy to have new people join us and chat with us, so you will see a link in the show notes to that. I also want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Link on TikTok and Instagram. Definitely go check her out. And check out A Gamer Looks at 40 with Bill Tucker. He's, I'm sure, talking Final Fantasy still. So check out his podcast. And check out absolutely the best podcast of Work in Progress. They talk about the MCU movies and MCU adjacent movies. So definitely check them out, too. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, YouTube, audio only, and rate and reviews wherever you get your podcasts. I think that's everything I need to say, so we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.